Hello my dear friends, and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara, and today we're going to be going over Sun in the 8th house synastry. So this video is for you if you are experiencing this synastry with another individual. Maybe your Sun is in their 8th house, or maybe their Sun is in your 8th house. Well, this video is going to be for you, and if you're a cross watcher, welcome as well. So in terms of synastry, here's the thing. There is the meaning of what that particular placement means, but at the same time, you guys always want to take a look at your own natal charts and see what's going on in there. And I find a lot of the time with synastry, it depends how evolved are the two people, especially when we look at 8th house synastry. The 8th house synastry always is going to be bringing certain things to the surface for individuals. So the 8th house overall deals with sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult. It's anything to do with the merging of energies. So it's going to be merging of two people, merging of finances, merging of assets. That's basically what the 8th house is all about. Now, the 8th house also a lot of the time is going to bring certain shadow energies to the surface as well. So here's the thing, it depends. Maybe you yourself are an 8th house person, or a Pluto dominant type of person, or maybe you are a Scorpio type of person. Depends what's going on in your own natal charts, because the thing is, like, maybe you guys are going to be used to these energies already within your own natal charts, and then it's going to manifest in a very positive sense, for example, with another individual if it is in that divine version. Although what I do find more often than not, when we do have these 8th house types of encounters and situations, well, in that particular case, it's going to bring a lot of things to the surface. For traditionally in synastry, they do say it's going to be the house person, but here's the thing, that 8th house, especially if you guys do merge energetically or you spend a lot of time together, or it does get intimate, for example, which the 8th house does have the tendency of taking place, well, in that particular case, it's going to be hard to read the energy because the energy is taking place between the two people. So both people could be actually experiencing this energy as well. So overall, the Sun in the natal chart is the ego, is a sense of self. A lot of the time, I've heard that it's who we think we are. Sometimes I've heard that it's who we are becoming as well. But overall, the Sun is the Sun, all about the light energy and the illumination and all of these types of things. So when we have the Sun energy going into the other person's 8th house, this is a very interesting synastry energy taking place actually, because that 8th house is going to be that hidden energy. It is the hidden aspects of the self. So it's like the Sun energy, which is traditionally ruled by Leo. So here's the thing, if you maybe have an 8th house Sun, or if you have Scorpio Sun, for example, well, this particular synastry is going to be very, very deep, for example, because it's like you already have this energy taking place in your own natal chart, or even like a Sun Pluto aspect. But if it's like, let's say it's another placement in terms of the Sun in your own natal chart, let's say something a little bit lighter, and traditionally the Sun is ruled by Leo in general, it's like this energy is here to shine. It could be a playful type of energy, it could be an energy that wants to have fun. So it's like the Sun person comes into the 8th house person's life, and like, let's say neither of these two people have experienced any sort of Scorpio energies or Pluto aspects or 8th house energy within their own natal charts, or even let's say any sort of 8th house synastry with anybody prior to this particular moment or experience. Well, in this particular case, the Sun person is going to be bringing a lot of these things to the surface for the 8th house person, maybe things that the 8th house person has hidden about themselves, or they don't necessarily want to show, or they don't necessarily want to share. So it's really interesting because, again, let's say neither of these two individuals have any sort of these energies already taking place in their charts where they are used to this type of energy. Well, in that particular case, the 8th house person could feel very, very exposed. They could feel very much like wanting to run, let's say, from the Sun person, because they might not necessarily want to look at a lot of these things that the Sun person is bringing to the surface for them. Now, what I will say for any sort of 8th house synastry that's taking place, there's always going to be some sort of breakdown of the ego, and then coming out transformed on the other side is basically what takes place here. It could be taking place on both sides, because the Sun can be the ego as well. So if the roles are reversed, the 8th house person could actually be bringing a lot of shadows to the surface for the Sun person as well. Maybe certain things where it's like the Sun person was living in their ego, for example, the 8th house person could, let's say, bring these things to the surface for them as well. There's always going to be a magnetic pull between these two individuals. There's always going to be an attraction energy taking place, a lot of sexual energy, especially because it is the 8th house. The Sun person can kind of feel like they're being pulled into some sort of energetic vortex. That's what 8th house energy, Plutonian energy, or even Scorpionic energy tends to feel like for individuals that maybe have never encountered this energy, because it's like it's kind of pulling you in, especially with the abundance of sexual energy that's present. And it's important to keep in mind the sexual energy is present whether you are physically engaging with this person or not. And the thing is, because it is the Sun for the 8th house person, maybe the Sun person is going to be their exact type, for example, because the Sun can also be the physical appearance as well. So for example, this could manifest into an intimate relationship, or at least you could feel a lot of this sexual energy that's taking place between the two people. people. Now the thing is, depends on what else is going on in the natal charts, yes, but also in the synastry amongst the two people. Because for example, it could be a platonic relationship, but like the 8th house does deal with like power and control as well. So let's say it's taking place in the workplace. Maybe there isn't like a sexual pull necessarily between two people, but maybe there's an energy of, let's say, just being very intrigued by the other person, or maybe feeling very repelled as well, because that's that 8th house energy. It either pulls you in or it's going to repel you. So I could see this playing out, let's say in the workplace, maybe it's a platonic dynamic, but it could be like power plays, for example, where it's like maybe one of the people in the situation is trying to energetically suppress the other one. Maybe one of them is a manager and the other person, let's say, wants to get promoted. The manager maybe knows this and doesn't want to give up their position of power, so it's like they don't allow the other person to get promoted, like something of the sort, because the 8th house can absolutely be power plays as well. In terms of synastry, it isn't always necessarily going to be a romantic dynamic or an intimate dynamic. It could be something where it's like, let's say, a business dynamic, or let's say it could even be within the family. Sometimes you'll see, let's say, 8th house synastry taking place between family members, where maybe again either the sun person or the 8th house person, because the energy is interchangeable. Let's say the 8th house person could be triggering certain things for the sun person to do with their ego or their identity. Like let's say it's a parent-child relationship. Let's say the sun person is the parent and the 8th house person is the child. Maybe the child comes through and really challenges the parent's ego, for example. So it could play out in different types of relationships, absolutely. But traditionally, I find that a lot of the time when people do look at synastry, they're usually looking for some sort of answer for having this strong magnetic pull to another person. Or sometimes, again, when people talk about, let's say, like karmic relationships, these types of relationships where you kind of feel this strong pull to another person and you don't know why, well, it could potentially be an 8th house synastry type of situation taking place. And the thing is also with the 8th house, is going to bring up a lot of shadow energies as well. This is where the energy comes in of like how evolved are the two people, or how self-aware are the two people, or like aware of their triggers. Let's say you are someone who already has these energies in your chart. Maybe you're used to the energy and maybe you have evolved, let's say, through time, and you've worked through a lot of these lower vibrational energies and emotions that usually take place at the base of the spine, which is what the 8th house is usually triggering. And also that sexual energy is usually triggering, because when there's that sexual energy present between two people, let's say the energy is just present and it's sexual tension, it's going to bring certain things to the surface for either one or both of the parties. It depends, again, how evolved are the two people. Let's say the two get actually physically intimate, it's going to be very challenging to break, let's say, this bond in this particular case, because it's like you could kind of feel this magnetic pull, this magnetic attraction. Maybe you've never felt this with anybody before. Maybe it's like the best intimate experience that you've ever had, or like for a while you've had, for example. So something of this sort could be taking place that's like drawing you in. But what's important to understand, whether you are engaging physically with this person or you're just super attracted to them, that sexual energy that is present, if it is this type of energy that's being present between the two people, because again, like I mentioned, the 8th house synastry doesn't always have to be a sexual relationship. That sexual energy can sometimes manifest even into aggression, for example, as well. Which, by the way, all of these things that are chilling at the base of the spine, which are human wounds, collective wounds, things that basically the collective has to clear through and work through. Either people, what I find is they either clear through it on their own. If it's in their own charts, maybe it's a transit that takes place and then you're forced to clear these lower vibrational energies and emotions, or it's going to be this type of relationship. So all of the things that are chilling at the base of the spine, which are connected to the shadow energies of the solar plexus chakra, sacral, and root, it's going to be anything to do with power and control dynamics. It's going to be anything to do with codependencies, being very energetically enmeshed. It can be anything to do with like addiction energy, like being addicted to the other person. It could be obsession. It could absolutely be a trauma bond between the two people. If we go into the super shadow aspects of this energy, trigger warning, it could be abusive dynamics. It could even be a lot of aggression, a lot of conflict, because that sexual energy that is basically present. And when sexual energy isn't being expressed in a positive outlet, for example, well then in that case, it goes inward and it turns into aggression energy, is basically what that is. So that's something that could be taking place here as well. For example, like let's say the people aren't as evolved. Let's say the 8th house person triggers the sun person's ego. When your ego is triggered, it's kind of like your perception of reality is being triggered. So the thing is, a lot of the time when people are not evolved, the first thing that they do is like they project their anger and frustration at the person who is quote unquote triggering them. Although like when you're more evolved, you will have the understanding that it has actually nothing to do with that person. They're just bringing these things up to the surface. So that's the thing with these 8th house types of dynamics. It really, really depends how evolved are the two people. If let's say you're the one who's more evolved and you're tuning into this video and you see within the other person that they have a lot more work to do, probably best to stay away from them, because this relationship can turn into a lot of projection and a lot of projecting. But also in the divine version of this energy, when maybe you guys do work through these energies, let's say together, maybe you're both willing to work on the energies within yourself, maybe there isn't any of this projection and blaming the other person, like you're able to take the accountability and responsibility for like whatever's going on internally for yourself. Well, in that type of dynamic, it could turn very, very intimate. It could be be a very deep dynamic. Let's say you're already an 8th house type of person, or again, Pluto type of person. Let's say you have a lot of Pluto aspects, or even like a Scorpio type of person. If you're already this type of person, well, this relationship could feel very much like a close bond is really what that is. Very deep, very intimate, very close. Probably what a lot of Plutonian types of people are looking for and seeking in a relationship. So this is what I mean when it comes to synastry. It depends what's going on with the two people, what's going on in their own natal charts. Let's say you have more lighthearted energies in your natal charts and you come in contact with the 8th house person, well, it's going to be shadow work season for either you or the other person, depending on what's going on with them. Because the thing is, if they've owned their shadow, which is the 8th house, well, then in that case, it's not going to affect them as much. But if they haven't, well, then you're also triggering them. So this is what I mean. It depends what's going on with the two people. So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here on Sun in the 8th house and the synastry between the two people. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.